And then she was like, okay. And then she was like, do you have values for your business? I said, that one, I'm not sure. I just know that, okay, I have personal values, and that's really what I know. So she then goes, okay, so this is what we're going to do. She pulled up every single thing. She was like, what, we're going to go on this journey for, I think it was like 4 weeks or 6 weeks or so. And I kid you not, she's very stern, and she will look into your face. She will give you the carrot and stick approach, and then sandwich you very well with, okay, you're doing well, but this is how you need to do it better. And so I just thought, one of the things that doesn't make you, grow into, that's, help your business grow, is when your business is disorganized. My business was so disorganized then, because I would be the one going to different locations myself, carrying every single thing myself. And she was like, no, this is no longer a business. This is a job that is consuming your life and consuming you. And so it was a very painful experience. But I tell you, once you get this structure right, you will literally come out of chaos, because it was a chaotic experience for me. And so she brought out that clarity for me, and I was able to come out of a chaotic business that I had built, or that I was building, and I was able to structure it better. Now I can literally be in different places and the business is running. The thing is, if your business still revolves around you, that is no longer a business, that is still a job, right? So she then taught me, I put my vision, my mission, my values, every single thing. And she said, you need one of the reasons why you keep having the wrong staff in your business is because you do not have a vision, a mission, and a culture. Oh, I need that key. Okay, so I need this key. Can you get another one from them? Okay, that's fine, because I need this. Okay, that's fine, no problem. Okay, so one of the excuse me about that, sorry, we're currently preparing for an exhibition. So she pretty much just helped me put everything together. And she was like, the reason why you keep having the wrong people in the wrong seats is because you're not hiring in the right way. You should be hiring based on your mission, vision, and values. You should literally get people, when you interview people, when you see through people, you should interview them through that principle, that's set rules. She was like, oh, do you even have an employee handbook? I was like, yeah, I have something written, but and she just taught me all of these things. These are the things that she helped me put together. And she helped me realize that there are seasons when you walk in the business and when you walk on the business, right? So what we're doing today is we are taking time to walk on our business and not work in our business. When you work in your business, you are literally just the customer care, doing things. But when you work on your business, you are setting things in place and moving things around so that that business can flourish. Right now, by the grace of God, we have expanded to 3 locations. Our second and fourth location is on the way because of this structure. Structure helps you thrive. Structuring your business helps you fly. I'm right now, by the grace of God, in Kenya for an exhibition because of structure, because I have a team back home who are able to structure the business well, and who are able to stand in my stead and help that business grow because of structure. So I want you to please open up your mind. If you have burning questions, write them down, because she'll be coming up after I'm done talking, and she will just share this information with you. And one last thing to take home is apply. If you spend your time here, right? If you spend your time here on this call and you don't apply what is being shared on this call, then you've just wasted your time. You should apply. Knowledge gained and applied is what brings the results. Is what transforms our businesses and transforms us. So I want to encourage you to have a pen, a note and paper, a pen and a paper, and also keep all distractions away and be present where your feet are. Take those notes, ask those questions, map everything out, because I tell you that your life is about to be transformed. So are your businesses too as well. Because for your business to be transformed, the owner of that business too has to go through a mind shift to receive that transformation, and then they can then transform their businesses. And even when you're done with this, if you also want to have a one-on-one call with her, I'm sure she will definitely share her details with you, and then you can pick up that conversation. I also want to encourage us to, go back into our businesses. I'm sure we have a staff or two, and then, share. Don't do this alone. Don't go by yourself alone, right? Don't carry all of this work alone, because one of the things she will also ask you to do is, with the team that you have, work on your SOPs together, and she'll basically just demystify everything. So welcome once again, and I'm just going to read out Mrs. Ndidi Azaah's bio. Just give me a moment. All right. So Ndidi Azaah is the founder of Zuriel Business Solutions, a business and management consultancy firm with a mission to establish systems, processes, strategies, and business models built to last and grow brands, while developing people with a culture that enables them to thrive professionally and individually. With a career spanning over a decade, Ndidi has established herself as a transformational consultant, coach, leader, and trainer. Ndidi is experienced in sales, marketing, customer service, operations, and business development across retail and manufacturing. Ndidi has worked with several employees, or rather, Ndidi has worked with several SMEs, including myself, to establish systems and structures that is replicable across the board, that ensures increase in revenue, employee performance, and have business owners run a business that can function effectively, efficiently, with or without their constant supervision. She has an MBA in business administration and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management. I want us to use our emojis, and I want us to use our comment sections, and I want her to feel the love and the energy, like, we're expectant of something good from you today. Hi, ma'am. It's so good to have you on the call today.
Hi, Anga.
I knew you were going to say that.
Good morning.
It's so good to have you. Good morning. Good morning. I want to say a very big thank you for giving us this opportunity to learn from you. And so I hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you. It's so good to be here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I absolutely love Yanga. She's an amazing human being. And I know I've never said this to her, but Yanga is who I call a divine connector. Like, she literally opened gates for me that she doesn't know in the beauty industry. People actually felt confident working with me because of Yanga. She may not even be aware, but every person from your industry who has worked with me because of you.
Wow.
That goes to show that your name is collateral, and I am seriously sitting on it. Absolutely. Every single person who has worked with me in the beauty industry was because of you. And I want to say a big thank you. Your name carries so much weight that you probably are not even aware of. And your integrity is loud. Your integrity is very loud. And that has become my own collateral too. So thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot. So thank you again for this opportunity. There's nothing I will not do for you. But let's start. Mo, I have sent you the slides just in case, but I think I'll also share my screen at this point, but I sent it to you just in case.
Yes, got it. Thank you so much.
All right, let me see. Or can you share it from your side?
Okay, sure. Just give me some minutes to share it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Mr. Mo, we can see your screen. We can see the slides.
Okay. Are we good?
Yes, Coach Ndidi, just let me know, how to navigate, when to go to the next slide.
All right. Well, as I speak, you will know when to follow me, but I will also tell you.
All right, thank you.
All right. So good morning, everyone. Good morning once again. I am going to be sharing with us on organizing your business for growth. Basically, putting basic systems in place that helps you grow your business and that helps you scale your business over time. So in the next slide, our training goal is pretty simple, is to help business owners design and implement simple systems that improve efficiency, accountability, and sustainable growth. So that's the goal of our training this morning. Mo, that's on the second slide. Yeah, that's on the second slide. Truth is that when you start a business, we all start out that initial time with passion, a lot of talent, a lot of hustle, a lot of skill. You know, we are so driven, we are so in there. And in that startup stage, we tend to do everything by ourselves. Like, we all tend to do everything by ourselves. Now, how long that stage lasts, most time it depends on us. It depends on our reality, it depends on our values, it depends on what's important to us. But in that initial stage, we all tend to do things by ourselves. That's in the startup stage. But when it's time for your business to grow, when you get into that growth stage, it becomes very important that you now start implementing systems. Now, one thing I tell business owners who are coming into that stage is, as much as you can, which is what Jennifer did, is not just to, it's okay for you to get someone to come and implement systems in your business, but it's very important that you learn how to implement systems and then implement them yourself. As a business owner, learn what systems are, understand what systems are, what structure and systems are, learn how to establish them, learn how to manage your systems, learn how to implement those systems, so that eventually when you hand over your systems to someone, let's say like your HR person, your business manager, or your operations manager, you will understand when things are not going in alignment with your goals. Now, it is very dangerous as a business owner to find yourself in a situation where your staff or your manager or your HR person is the one implementing a structure that you do not understand. Now, when they are doing that and it's not working in your favor, or they are doing it out of selfishness, which is usually the case, because if not all employees will do things based on their selfishness. So when it begins to happen based on their selfishness, you will not know what to pick out. You will not know how to correct them. You will not know how to make adjustments. You will know that things are not going well, but you will not be able to lay your finger on it because you do not understand structure and system. So it is very important that as a business owner or as a founder, you understand structure, you understand systems, you try to implement them yourself or establish them yourself before you hand them over to somebody else. It is very, very important. Now, the next slide, please. So what does organizing your business mean? It means creating a system where people know what they are responsible for, what they are accountable for, how they should do their work, how success can be measured, who they should report to. And these things are backed by very clear procedures and policies. They are backed by compliance and performance management. They are backed by excellent management and leadership. Now, when it comes to management and leadership, if you have an amazing, you put up those right structures, you put up the right systems, like everything is going well. Once there is bad management and there is bad leadership, it will crash everything to the ground. So in as much as we are building systems, we are building structure, but you see the management and you see the leadership, let's say management in terms of the drivers of your business, your managers, your supervisors, those who work with you to ensure that things are going the way they should. And then also you as the business owner, who is the leader of that business. If you do not understand people management, if your emotional intelligence is very low, if you do not understand communication and work ethics and things like that, you will crash your structure and your systems to the ground. And this is one of the reasons why we emphasize so strongly on personal development. And this is one of the areas where I absolutely admire Jennifer for. She's so heavy on personal development, because if you do not develop yourself, you become the ceiling over your business. In fact, you become like the weapon formed against your business that prevents your business from growing. So your systems and your structure, they are backed by processes, policies, procedures, compliance, enforcement, performance management, but very, very importantly, excellent management and leadership. Now, the end goal of having all this in place is to have very good operational efficiency, is to ensure accuracy, is to ensure accountability, and is also to ensure transparency. Let's go into the next slide. So we're going to be looking at 6 frameworks that you can use to organize your business. Structure is created by people, for people, and is managed by people. People play a very crucial role when it comes to having an organized business, when it comes to having a structured business. And the crazy thing about it is that we are dynamic. People are dynamic, unpredictable. So if the people are not right, it affects the success of your systems and your structure. That's why you find some business owners who are like, oh, my business is structured, my business is systemized, yet I'm still having some form of headache. It's just, I'm just, things are just not going in a way it should. People, check the people. When I see businesses who have, like, I look at their processes, I look at their structure, they've put practically everything in place, but I still see some struggle. It is the people. That is to tell you how impactful human beings are to a business. In as much as we call them employees, in as much as we call them staff, they are people. And the Bible says that the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can know it? So you see that people factor, you see that human being factor, it plays heavily on a business, whether we call them staff or whatever. Now, the first framework we're going to be looking at is your business foundation. Your business is built on a foundation. And when you look at a structure, when you look at a building, nobody sees the foundation of the building. But that foundation that nobody gets to see actually controls the strength, and it controls to a very large extent the durability of that building. So if, for example, somebody wants to build a house, they want to build a bungalow. So typically they will build a foundation that can carry a bungalow. But as they begin to build, all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, there's money in real estate, there's money in renting properties. They now start increasing that bungalow and start adding columns or pillars or rods and whatever. And they turn that bungalow into a 5-story building. The foundation was never developed. The foundation was never put in place to carry a 5-story building. What do you see happen over time? The building will crash. This is where we come into the business foundation. We'll talk about your vision statement, your mission statement, your core values, and your culture. Now, what is your vision? Your vision is not a goal. Sometimes people mistake vision as a goal. Your vision is not a goal. Your vision is every time you wake up where you see your business. Now, one of the wonderful examples I like to give when it comes to a vision statement is that of Microsoft. Their very first vision statement, and that vision statement has kept evolving, even if the words had been tweaked a little bit, but it still remains the same. And what does it say? It says a PC on every desk in every home. So you see that it is aspirational. Every day you wake up, new homes are coming up, new rooms are coming up, new desks are coming up. And the goal of Microsoft when they were starting up was to have a PC on every desk in every home. That is your vision statement. So your vision statement is not a goal in itself. It is not a goal. It is not to be able to impact thing, maybe environment or area in the next 3 years. No. That is a goal, which is fine. But your vision statement is the foundation that carries your business. It is impact. Your vision statement is impact. Now, when you go to your mission statement, it's your vision statement, but the only thing you're adding to it is how you are going to make it happen. And usually I would say it is through the people that you have. It is in your mission statement that your team can find themselves. Because of time, we're just going to keep going. So your core values are also very important. Your core values, you cannot separate the personality of a business owner from their business. You cannot. separate the personality of a business owner from their business. Let me look at a very simple example. If a business owner is naturally disorganized, by default, they are very disorganized people, you will see that same trait reflecting their business. The only way they might be able to escape it a little is if they have a manager who is extremely organized by nature, by default. So the personality of a business owner will always reflect in their business. Now, core values are more than just what you just write on the wall. Oh, excellent customer service, and things. Oh, those ones are beautiful, but it is deeper than that. Your core values are things that they apply to you that you want to see happen in your business. And for me, one very strong core value I have is excellence. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it very well. Otherwise, I don't do it at all. That is the spirit of excellence. The spirit of excellence is a spirit that distinguishes itself from every other person. If you don't have that as a person, as a human being, it will be difficult for you to exhibit that in your business. So these are your core values. Your core values are the things that you want exhibited in your business. They are the things that, when you think about certain businesses, when they call certain business, when you say, what
Goodness, that is a huge mistake. I apologize, everyone. I apologize. So that's so weird. I didn't even touch the button. I'm so sorry. Nora, if you can please just drop it on the community group. I'll get everyone to join again. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Let me check on Coach Ndidi. Just give me a minute. Sorry for the disruption.
All right, that's fine.
So sorry. All right, let me just reshare my screen again.
All right. So I was talking about our core values. So when you are coming up with your core values are the things that you want people to identify you with. So there are certain businesses that you come across, and when they ask you, say, oh man, those guys, their customer service is exceptional. Like their products is so good. There's some companies that you think about, their branding, like excellence is all around the business, in their products, their product delivery, their customer service, in their employees. You just see excellence and organization. Your core values are the things that you want to be identified with. So when you sit down and say, when people think about my business, when people think about Younger Beauty, what do I want people to think about? What do I want to be the first 2, 3, 4, 5 things that comes into the minds of people when they think about Younger Beauty? Those become your core values. What are the things that you want to see exhibited in your business from the outside? Those are your core values. So your core values are not just, going and just picking things here and there and then writing them on your wall. No. Whatever it is you say are your core values must be things that people see when they come in contact with your business, or when they experience your business, or when they even experience you as a business owner. Now, when it comes to culture as we know it, as we've always learned from when we're in school, is a way of life. So culture is more internal. I can say that culture is the way of life of your business. It is the way of life of your team. It is the way of life of your organization. What happens on the inside? So what are the things that you want to happen inside your business as a life in your business? So probably you're looking at mutual respect within your team. You are looking at even excellence within your team. Everything that happens as a way of life inside your business, those are your culture. So it is important for you to come up with your vision statement, your mission statement, your core values, and your culture. But if you are struggling to come up with the 4, please make sure you come up with 2, your vision statement and your core values. Don't joke with this. So these 2 are compulsory. Now let's go into the second framework, which is clear organizational structure. Thank you, Mo. Let's go into the next slide, Mo. Clear organizational structure. Without structure, every issue becomes the CEO's emergency. Now, I want us to look at structure in this way. When you picture a vehicle, when you look at the outside of a vehicle, or when you look at a physical person, we can liken that to a structure. When you look at the outside of a person, we can liken that to a structure. Or when you look at the outside of your vehicle, you can liken that to a structure. So let's say that your vehicle, you are driving a Toyota Yaris, for example. Now you have the body frame of the vehicle. It has its own tire size. There is a plate for the engine. The bonnet is covering the engine. You have your boots. You have your 4 doors. You have your 4 tires and every other thing. There's that physical structure or physical build of your Toyota Yaris. Now, if you take the tires of an SUV or a Toyota Prado and try to put it into your Toyota Yaris, it's not going to fit because the structure of both vehicles are different. This is why it is very tricky when people try to replicate structure from other businesses that are not built or designed like their own business. Do you understand? So let's look at it this way. So in that vehicle, you have different systems. So for example, systems in a vehicle are like your engine system, your cooling system, your exhaust system. If you look at it in the human body, you have the nervous system, you have the digestive system, you have the respiratory system. All these are systems. You have the skeletal system, you have the neurological system, and all those things. Now, the thing about systems and structure is this. The structure as a whole is carrying the systems inside it. Now, even if you look at an engine system or a cooling system inside the vehicle, inside that cooling system, you have like your compressor and your condenser and things like that. Those are subsystems inside the system. I want us to understand, I'm trying to use the vehicle and a human being because these are things that we're very familiar with. So the structure is the body. In that body, you have various systems. Now, where it gets tricky and where people usually have issues, especially with employees, is that when for you to enjoy the beauty of your body or for you to enjoy your car, every system has to be working perfectly and they have to be working together. It doesn't matter how fantastic your cooling system is, like it is performing at optimum capacity. If your engine system is faulty or it is bad, that vehicle is going nowhere. If every system is functioning perfectly in your body, but your neurological system or your digestive system is not functioning, your body is not functioning well. Now, the beauty of having an organized business is where every single system is functioning optimally, liaising and connecting with every other system to ensure that the structure or the body functions the way it is supposed to function. So if, for example, you buy a brand new vehicle, they just imported it for you. The container brings it into your compound. You know, you are so happy. They are bringing down the vehicle from the container, you know, with all the nylon or whatever inside. You are so excited, ribbons, balls, whatever. You start the vehicle, you know, it's giving. You connect your Bluetooth. The sound is giving. Everything is going well. And then you put on the AC. And you find out that the AC is not working in a brand new vehicle. Would you say that that vehicle is performing or it's functioning optimally? No, because something is missing. And that thing again that happens in a structure is that if the plugs I remember one time my plugs were bad, and because the plugs were bad, I think whether my car didn't move or it was strong, there was just something that was happening. So I went to an electrician, you know, and those plugs were like 600 naira. And I was like, so because of 600 naira plugs, my entire vehicle is not functioning properly. That's to tell you the importance of structure, systems, subsystems. If your cleaner, you see how low that level is, let's say your cleaner and your security, if they do not do their job well, it plays out in the entire business. If the cleaners decide not to clean, or all your cleaning materials run out, and your business is not clean, your store or whatever is not clean that day, and that is the day customers decide to pump into your business. They say, what kind of dirty environment is this? Why is your place so dirty? Why is your place smelling? Why is your place so unkept? Just because you didn't buy detergent, or you forgot to buy a freshener, or your cleaner did not clean and nobody cleaned because of that simple act. And your cleaner might be the lowest paid person in your organization, but to see how impactful they can be on your business. And then the next thing, you could go online and start hearing things like, I went to social person's business, it was so dirty, it was smelly, everywhere was unkept, all because the least paid staff in your business did not do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it. Now, Everything that I have said is just a summary for you to understand the impact of even the smallest subsystem in your business. Now let's go. Organogram. Organogram answers the question, who makes the decisions, who executes, who supervises, who solves the problem. No, go back. We're still on a structure. Now, I believe everybody understands what an organogram is. So in an organogram, you have your CEO, you know, who is at the head, who is at the next level of drivers, who is supposed to be under. So in your organogram, you are drawing a reporting line. So what it is important most times, what is very important is that there are two things that usually happen. It talks about reporting line, who reports to who, from top to bottom, and then from bottom going right up. So it makes reporting very clear. It makes reporting very easy. Also, when you sit down to actually draw or draft your organogram, it also helps you see if you need to create more departments and the type of people that you need to put into those functions. So your organogram creates some form of clarity, but most importantly, a line of reporting and a line of structure. So your organogram is like that body. Good. And the next thing I want us to look at are your roles and responsibility. Every role, every staff role should answer the question, what am I employed to achieve? We don't just employ people for employment's sake or because we want to have staff. What is the person supposed to help you achieve? A good job description should include the purpose of the job, the responsibilities. Now, we're not managing paper. I tell this to people, I say, when you are writing your staff responsibilities, we're not managing paper. We're not managing A4 paper. Especially if you are a micro business. Think of everything that that person is supposed to do for you when they come into your business in the morning. If they're supposed to on the switch, especially when this is specifically when you're a micro business, and they're getting, let's say, your first employee or your first 2 employees, and then maybe they're not graduates, maybe they're just mid-level kind of people. Everything that that person is supposed to do for you, please put it in the job description. For bigger businesses, you could put that in your SOPs or your procedures. But if you're a micro business with your first or your second staff, as much as possible, load that JD. So if they come into the morning, if they come into the office in the morning and they're supposed to also maybe tidy up the place, maybe clean it, put it in the job description. If they're supposed to put on the lights or put on the generator, put it in the job description. We're not managing paper. Put everything that they're supposed to do as their responsibility. Put it in the job description. If they're supposed to switch off all appliances when they are going home or when they're closing at the end of the day, write it in the job description. This is for those who have maybe 1 or 2 employees, where you know that you're trying to maximize 1 person or 2 persons to do so much for you. And it's a very, maybe like a retail business, you know, those very busy kind of businesses. Put everything in the job description. Now, your daily task or the weekly thing you're supposed to do, write it in that job description. Put everything there. Like I said, we're not managing that paper. Expected results. How are we going to measure results in this role? You know, so many times you ask employees, how will you define success in your role? When I ask most employees that question, including managers, they're looking at me as if I'm asking something from the moon. And every time I see employees struggle to talk about or to say what success is on their roles, I blame the business owner because they don't understand it. If they knew it, they probably would have said it. Now, in your job description, you should also have what we call KPIs. You say we are not managing. Yes, don't manage your paper. Absolutely. It is also important that now a job description without KPI is a hiring tool. If you write a job description without KPIs, it's a hiring tool. But when you are employing the person, KPIs must be included in that job description. Now, KPIs are basically how you are going to measure their success, how you are going to measure that they are doing what they are supposed to do. So I'm going to talk about KPIs later on, but let me just, for the purpose of this part, let me just throw it in. So if, for example, I am employing a store officer, so an example of a KPI could be that every item that comes into the store or that leaves the store must be done with our store requisition. It must be signed, it must be acknowledged before any item can leave the store. It is very specific, which means that during appraisal or during the course of the business, if anything left our store and we cannot trace it, you have defaulted on that particular KPI. An example of another KPI, for example, when it's a salesperson or let's say a business manager, you could say that like I said, I'm going to talk about KPIs later, but let me just throw this in. Targets are also KPIs. So let's say the person has a monthly target of XYZ. So let's say you have a monthly target of 5 million naira, or it could also be that you have a monthly target of increasing the revenue by at least 2% within the next quarter. Very specific, very measurable. That is how we are able to determine if you are successful in that role. That is how we determine productivity and not just busyness, because a lot of employees are busy, but they are not productive. So KPIs are how we enforce and measure productivity, not busyness. Now, let's also go to basic documentation. Now, do you know that labor law demands that every employee should have an employment contract within 3 months of them working with you? If it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. I can talk for a full day on this. Do you know why? While I was an employee, I almost thought, young guys familiar with my story, I almost went to jail. I was arrested. I've been arrested thrice by my employer. Once, why I think I had even quit the job. To tell you how powerful what I'm about to say is, I quit that job. I resigned from that job in 2016. I believe 2016. The 3 times that I was arrested happened when I had even left the job, right up to until last year. You can imagine a job I resigned from in 2016 coming to arrest me in 2025. I don't need to go into all that detail, but I'm going to say this to you as a business owner. If it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. And every time we try to talk about documentation, dear business owner, it is to your advantage. Anything that you did not document, you see, the court of law is not, hey, I said, he said, she said. You can do that in the police station, but when you come into the court of law, he who alleges must provide proof. And as a business owner, if you do not have very sound documentation, starting from your employees to your systems to your structure to every aspect that needs a trail, if you do not have documentation, it didn't happen. If your staff stole 10 million from you, you know they stole 10 million. They know they stole 10 million. But the proof of theft that you have is 500,000 naira. That is all that staff is liable to you. 500,000 naira. This is why internal control measures are very important. But let's come back to basic documentation. What are the documentations that you should have? Employment contract is very important. Your guarantor's form is very important. Your job description with key performance indicators and metrics is compulsory. Your staff handbook. Now, there are 2 or 3 documents that if for any reason you come into a court of law, between you and a disgruntled employee, there are 2 documents that will always come to play. Every employment contract that you have given that staff, every documentation, whether it's memo, whether it's query, whether it's SOPs, and they must see let me tell you, every document you give your staff, please ensure that it is acknowledged. It is signed, it is acknowledged, and there's proof of receipt. If you give them a documentation without acknowledgement, without proof of receipt, it didn't happen. It becomes your word against theirs. So it has to be received, it has to be acknowledged, there has to be proof of receipt. And then your staff handbook. There must be proof of receiving your staff handbook. There must be proof that they agree to the conditions of your contract and your staff handbook. If there are no agreements, acknowledgements, and proof of those acknowledgements or receipts, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Now, you also have your employee personal information form. Now, I got to experience it. Most people don't really talk about this, but employee personal information form is where you have maybe like blood group, health issues in case of emergencies, next of kin, and just personal information about the staff in case anything happened. That is why you need the employee personal information form. Now, during interviews, I learned this the hard way when I was a general manager. One of our staff, we didn't know that the guy had seasonal madness. And that the madness only came during raining season. I had never heard of something like that before. I got to see something like that or experience something like that as an employee. So we had entered raining season, very hardworking staff. And then this guy went bonkers. And we had branches. So my boss, they called me from one of our other branches. But come on, this guy is, going crazy in the office. And then we came, and the guy is quite big. So they had to hold him down and, pin him down. And then, of course, they were able to reach out to his family. So the family came. That's why we're not hearing that, it only happens during rainy season, this, that. Fortunately for me, I had that clause in the staff handbook. Where in case something like that happens, see what the organization will be able to do to help. At the end of the day, we fired the guy. After proffering help to the family, we gave them some little financial aid. It's a business, not a charity organization. We are not a rehabilitation center. We had to let the guy go. So it's very important that you ask your employees during interview. Like when I'm interviewing for a factory, for example, I always ask, do you have any disability issue? Do you have any health issues? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have ulcer? Do you have migraine issues? I always ask all those questions. Because I remember one time I carried out an interview. I asked the guy didn't say anything, not knowing that his hand was something like this, but he wore a long sleeve shirt. And then the way he was sitting down, I didn't notice it. Only for me to send the guy to the factory on the day that he resumed, and the production manager came heavy on me that why would we have employed somebody who had a disability? So there's certain questions that you should ask people, depending on your type of operations anyway, before you employ them, so that they don't start shouting discrimination for you later. So ensure you ask those questions. Confidentiality, non-compete, restraint of trade agreement form. Now, this will also depend on your operations. If you are into some form of manufacturing where you have trade secrets, confidentiality is very important. Now, it is not every industry that you can actually implement or enforce non-compete, because when you come up with this agreement must be in line with the law. It doesn't matter whether the person signed it. If such laws are already established in the Constitution, you cannot go against it. So, for example, you cannot be telling somebody about non-compete that the person will never do your business even after your exit for 5 years. For Christ's sake, you have no right to do that. But the law permits 12 months to 24 months, depending on how heavy that trade secret is. So, like I said, confidentiality, non-compete, restraint of trade will depend on your type of industry and your type of operation. And then, like I always said, if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. And I won my employer in that court case because I won my employer, and it was easy for me to win him because I established the systems and the structure. I didn't joke with documentation. And I also teach this to employers and employees. I didn't joke with documentation. So when he was lying against me in court and making some very heavy accusations, telling the judge that I was a signatory to all his accounts, which is crazy to even hear, I had my proof. And then I want you to also know this as a business owner. If for any reason you take your staff to court, the responsibility is on you to prove them guilty. The responsibility is not on the staff to prove themselves innocent. The responsibility is on you as the accuser to prove them guilty. If you do not have proof, he who alleges must provide proof. If you don't have proof, your staff is going to walk out free, even when both of you and even the court knows that the person is guilty. But because you cannot provide proof, the person will walk free. And that was my advantage. I had every single documentation in place. So when he was making accusations, I was just bringing, he couldn't believe it because I kept this document for close to 10 years. I still have my employment contract from my first job in 2009. To tell you how detailed I can be, I still have my first contract from 2009. So please ensure that you are thorough as a business owner, because you cannot predict the kind of employee that you are going to have. If you have an employee who is as thorough as I am, go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to look at internal control. Strong internal control systems build trust, security, and efficiency. It is a defense system. Your internal control can be a defense and can help you also mitigate the extent of damage, the extent of losses, or the extent of risk. Now, the goal of internal control, I always say, is very simple: accuracy, transparency, and accountability. Your internal control system, measures, tools, whatever it is, must cover these three things: accuracy, transparency, and accountability. The whole essence is this, dear business owners: everything that moves within your organization, cash, inventory, stock, whatever, everything that moves within your organization must be accounted for And there must be a trail that follows everything. Just think about it. Everything that moves within your organization, customers, finances, and your goods, your stock or your inventory, it must be traceable. It must have accuracy. It must be accounted for. And there must be proof of the movement of everything that moves around the organization. In fact, this is June. Today's date is 20th, 2026. If you want to find out what moved within your store or your warehouse on the 5th of February, we must be able to see proof of everything that moved within your store, even last year, February. We must be able to see evidence of everything that moved within your store with proof. That is the goal of internal control. What moved in your store on the 5th of February, 2025? We must see who asked for it. We must see who approved it. We must see who received it. We must see the proof of the items. We must see proof of description of those items. We must see proof of maybe quantity. We must see address. We must everything that concerns the movement of goods, customers, and stock within your organization must be accounted for with trail, either documented in form of manual or electronics. That is the goal of internal control. Everything that moves must be accounted for. Everything that moves must be accounted for. Once you understand this, you now sit down as a business owner and begin to ask yourself, what do I need to put in place? What documentation do I need to put in place? Whether manual, whether electronics, what approvals do we need? You know, when you understand the goal of something and when you can define success in that particular function, you can now work from answer to question and then ask yourself, for me to be able to achieve this, what do I need to do now? What do I need to put in place today? What do I need to do now? What do I need to ensure, enforce, so that I'll be able to achieve success in this thing? You now ask yourself, how do I draft these documents? Who should approve it? When you're trying to implement internal control systems or measures into your business, that's when you begin to realize that, no, this is duplication of function. No, the person who is doing this should not be able to do this. The person who buys the goods cannot be the person who receives the goods, cannot be the person who disburses the goods. That's a clash of control measure. So when you understand that the person who went to buy the items cannot be the person who receives the items into the store and cannot be the person who also issues the item, you now know that, no, somebody has to be checking that person. So the person who buys the goods, who checks that the goods that they went to buy is accurate, who checks that the requisition that was raised and the items that were received are in alignment. Now, the person who is going to keep the goods and issue out the goods has to be a control over the other person. That is how you put control in your business. But the moment the person who buys the goods is the person who receives the goods and the person who issues out the goods, they will always issue out those goods to defend themselves. Peradventure, they want to commit fraud. It means that they will be committing frauds and they'll be balancing the books and giving it to you, and you don't know that things are going wrong because you have killed the entire control that happens within that responsibility. So examples of control measures are segregation of duties. I just gave an example. Who buys cannot be the person who receives, who keeps, and who issues out. Approvals and authorizations. Those are examples of control measures. Policies and procedures are examples of your control measures. Passwords and authentications. Like if you go to a bank, for example, you can see that there's maybe you raise a check. You will see the teller, the teller person, they will minute on it, they will go to the operations person. Those are like 2 or 3-way authentication processes. Those are approvals and authorizations. Passwords and authentications. Now you have 2-way authentication, 3-way authentication. Those are internal control measures. Sometime this year, someone tried to hack into my account. I was holding my phone on my hand. I was trying to make a post on Instagram. And the next thing that I saw was the owner of the account is preventing you from doing something. And I'm like, what is going on here? Owner of which account? You know? And because I had some, I think 2 or 3 step authentication for for anybody, for me to be able to log into my account, if I buy a new phone, for example, that's why I use phones for a very long time, because that process of changing is always hectic. So when the person tried hacking in, a code, they needed to get into the account. So because of what I had put in place, the code was now coming to my WhatsApp message and telling me, would you like to approve it? Of course, I was declining it. So the person who was trying to hack into my account needed that approval. And then because I had that authentication process, of course, I couldn't give them the approval. So what did I do? I completely logged out, shut everything down, and then now tried re-entering into my Instagram. So when I tried re-entering into my Instagram now sent me the code to my email. I have it on my email, I have it on my WhatsApp, on my number, everywhere. That's how I was able to push the person out and get back into my account. So authentication at different levels are very, very important. You also have your safes, you have your locks, you have your CCTV camera, and all these other things. These are part of your control measures. So CCTV camera is not structure. It's just a tool. CCTV camera is not structure, it is just a tool. Reconciliation and audits are also part of your control measures. Example of control tools, you have your requisitions. You can have cash requisitions if you're into production or food, or you have raw materials requisition, you have payment vouchers, you have softwares, you have bin cards, you have gate pass. Now this gate pass thing, I hope you understand that as a business owner, you are accountable for your staff. From the time that they resume work to the time that they close, you are responsible and accountable for your staff. If anything happens to your staff within the working hours, you will be held most likely responsible for it. So if, for example, your staff is supposed to resume work 8 o'clock and close by 5, and then by 3 o'clock, their family member comes and says, my daughter left for work this morning, or let's say by the end of the day or at night, and we've not heard from her. What happened? You people are still at work. And you're like, but this person did not come to work. Now we are going back to proof. What evidence do you have that this staff did not resume work with you today? What evidence do you have that this staff actually closed from work and went home? That is where you have your movement register. For some people, they use notebooks. For some persons, they use clocking devices. But there has to be some form of proof that this person came to work today. And then in between that work, maybe they left from your office, maybe you send them on an errand to the market. There has to be proof that they went from your office to the market, or that they took permission from work and they said, please, I'm not feeling fine. They left from your office and then they went home. What is that evidence? That evidence can be in your movement register. That evidence can be in a gate pass. Remember, if it was not documented, it didn't happen. That is why a movement register and a gate pass is very important. Movement register, from when they are resuming work, there has to be proof that they came to work that day. There has to be proof that they moved maybe outside your office space. There has to be proof that they have closed from work and they have gone home. You are no longer accountable or responsible for them. If it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. Move to the next slide, please. Thank you. Standard operating procedures. If it happens repeatedly, create a process and document the procedure. If it happens repeatedly, there has to be a documented procedure. Now, your standard operating procedure are a step-by-step way of how you do the things that you do to get the results that you require. Now, I put a picture of jollof rice. Now, I can cook jollof rice. The taste of my jollof rice depends on the taste of your jollof rice. If 10 of us here cook jollof rice, most likely our jollof rice will have 10 different tastes. Some persons own, maybe it will be pepperish, some it will be very orange, some will be light orange, some will be very spicy, some will not be spicy, some might be salty, some might not be salty, even though everything is jollof rice. But we all have a procedure and a pattern that will prepare our jollof rice to get the same taste every single time. Now, my husband deals with ulcer. Because of that, there is a way I prepare his food. I love spicy food. I love pepper and stuff like that. But because of that ulcer thing, I have to prepare his food in a particular way. Somebody who likes their food spicy may not enjoy the food I prepare for my husband. Even if the food is jollof rice, even if the food is egusi soup. But because of his health, it is prepared a certain way. Now, the whole essence of an SOP is that you want to document a process of carrying out certain tasks or doing certain things to achieve a particular result. And that process cannot be in your head. Because if you tell your staff, or if you write in their job description, answer customer call, that's generic. But you, as a very excellent person, very prim and proper person, there is a way that you answer call. There's a way that you answer customer calls. Now, your staff who you just employed does not operate at the same experience, frequency, knowledge, and whatever with you. If you do not tell them how to answer your customer call, they will answer your customer call in a way that suits them best. And so, maybe your own way as a business owner to answer your customer call. Hello, good morning. This is Zero Business Solutions. How may we be of service to you this morning? You know, that can be your own call. Your staff's way of answering customer call is, hello, good morning, ma. You get the whole thing. So if you don't teach your customer, or if you don't teach your staff how to answer your customer's call, they are going to bring in their personality into your business, and you cannot afford that risk. Do you understand? So if you do not define your structure, your systems, your subsystems, your processes, your procedures, your staff will bring in their own understanding of structure. They will bring in their own understanding of systems. They will bring in their own policies. They will bring in their own processes. And I can guarantee you it will be selfish and it will not be in your favor. It will be selfish and it will not be in your favor. This is why you have to be intentional about documenting your SOPs. So example of repetitive activities that happen within your organization. Now, this will vary with departments. So example of a process. When it comes to admin, raising expenses is an example of a process. When it comes to production, the production department, requesting for raw materials is a process. Do you understand? When it comes to onboarding, to HR, onboarding is a process. Performance management is a process. Training is a process. When it comes to your store or your warehouse or your inventory, how to receive goods is a process. How to issue out goods is a process. How to arrange the store is a process. How to carry out stock taking is a process. So when you identify every repetitive activity within your business, all those activities are called processes. Now, procedures are how you carry out each of those processes. It is your step-by-step way that you carry out these processes. So, for example, how you receive goods. So, if let's say you are a business that imports goods, maybe from another state, or you import them in containers or shipments or whatever, there's a process called how to receive goods. Now, under that how to receive, you have procedures. Step one, before goods arrive, now this is for the inventory person, ensure that you have collected maybe the purchase order or however it is that you guys receive your goods. Ensure that you have this information at least 6 to 24 hours before these goods arrive. That's step one. Now, what this means is that the store person is aware of whatever it is that they are going to receive. They are not in the dark. So the store person or the store people, the team in the store, know that they are receiving, okay, we're receiving a 20-foot container or a 40-foot container. And in this 40-foot container, these are all the items that we're going to receive. Ensure that they have, that's like step one. So step two could mean that ensure that somebody from the accounts department is present as a form of check and control while receiving these goods. Now, your procedure will vary. It will vary with your structure. It will vary with your systems. Remember, I said that the foundation for a bungalow is not the foundation for a 10-story building. So what I say might apply to some businesses, but not to some businesses. So for some businesses, some businesses may require a 10-step procedure. Some businesses require a 3-step procedure. For some, it's a 6-step procedure or a 7-step procedure. So it all depends. Now, another step can be that as they are receiving the goods, tick them on the photocopy of the purchase order or whatever it is that you're going to use to receive the goods. For every item that receives, tick them. Some would say use a tally system to count them, because maybe everything will not be coming in at the same time. Maybe one carton that is carrying wristwatches are in front, the next cartons at the back of the container. So for everyone that comes in, you can say use a tally system to tick them. I'm sure we all know what a tally system is. So in essence is this: you have repetitive activities are your processes. Your procedures are how you carry out those processes, how you carry out those to ensure that at the end of that activity, accuracy, transparency, accountability. That at the end of that whole process, there is transparency, there is accuracy, there's accountability. And then you also have another SOP that says how to arrange the goods. Now, the goal of goods arrangement is for easy retrieval and easy identification. So you can see that there is actually a goal. Tied to every procedure. The goal of ensuring that goods are properly arranged in the warehouse is for easy identification and easy retrieval. When you understand this, your people will not, you won't just throw things anyhow into the store. So you can have a classification method. Maybe things that are arranged in maybe according to size, or according to shape, or according to alphabet, or by batches. However, you will have a batching process, or you will have a classification process when it comes to arrangement. Also, how to issue out goods, or how to raise requisition, for example. So your people want to buy items. Let's say they want to go and buy fuel, for example. They want to go and buy 50 liters of fuel. You don't just say, accountant, give us 100,000 naira. Want to go and buy 50 liters of fuel. I've spoken to madam, she said she give me the money. But that's wrong. You take a requisition, your requisition form should be there. If you are using the manual type, kindly make available the sum of 100,000 naira for 50 liters of diesel at 2,000 naira per liter. That's how you raise a requisition. Now, your requisition should carry, of course, just like in a booklet form, for those of you that do manual. So you have your company name, just, those simple, basic booklets. So I like to use the triplicate copy. When we are doing such things, I like the triplicate copy. So there is the department, the name, and the description, and then under you have the signature, and then approval and stuff like that. So if the admin person is the one raising the requisition, so they put from admin department, the admin person writes their name. They now write, kindly make available the sum of 100,000 naira for 50 liters of fuel at 2,000 naira per liter. They come under the sign. Now, if it is the admin person who is going to collect the money from the accounts department, that is where they now come up with the payment voucher. So the payment voucher would now show the person who is receiving the money as proof. Remember, documented trail. Remember, internal control measures. So the admin person can decide to raise that requisition and give the requisition to the security man, because security man wants to go and buy the fuel. So when the admin person fills the requisition, they give to the security man, go and give it to the accountant. The accounts person receives the requisition already raised and written, signed, approved, by the admin person. So what becomes the proof that it is the security man who is going to receive the money to buy the fuel? That's where the payment voucher comes in. Even the admin person can also mean it on the requisition form. The security man will receive the money to go and buy the fuel. So when the accountant is preparing the money to issue out, he uses the payment voucher. The security man also signs on the payment voucher that they are the one receiving the 100,000 naira to go and buy the fuel. Now, you can see that if we are trying to trace how, let's say 100 liters of fuel that was supposed to last for 1 week has suddenly lasted for 2 days, which is not supposed to be, and then this thing is like December 2026, we are doing a reconciliation or an audit, and we say, who bought fuel of 100,000 naira, 50 liters, but the fuel lasted for only 2 days? Because after 3 days, another 100,000 naira fuel was raised. You now see that you have the person that raised the requisition, the person that approved the requisition, the person that received the money, and they went to go and buy the fuel. Internal control proof. Do we understand this? Move to the next slide, please. Let me make this a little bit fast. Next slide, please. Performance management. So performance management, if you cannot improve it, if you cannot improve what is not measured. Now, let's come back to KPIs. I'm not going to do heavily on everything, but let's come back to KPIs. Now, you can have KPIs for your business, which is not the purpose of this class, but you see the ones you do for your employees. KPIs for, let's say, revenue. Let's look at the manager, for example. For your manager, you have maybe revenue KPIs. You have, let's say, you have a target of so amount, monthly target. It could be that part of their KPIs is to increase revenue by so percentage within the next quarter or within the next 6 months. You can see that the KPI is specific, is measurable, and there is a time frame to it. Another KPI could be that manage operational expenses to ensure that our net profit is a minimum of 15% of our gross revenue. Do you understand? Those are very specific KPIs. So when that manager is working, the manager is checking things. If by the end of the first week, the manager knows that I have a target of, I have a target to meet. If by the end of the first week, that target is not, that's he's still that thing is not possible, where does he go? He goes hard on the sales team. He goes hard on the marketing team. So the KPIs begins to drive the performance of the manager. But when you don't have key performance indicators or metrics, nothing is driving that manager. Now, when you do not have a form of accountability in place, how do you not tell the manager your performance was poor? The manager can ask you based on what? And I've seen employees who have asked business owner this question. You tell a staff the performance was not very good this month, and the staff will ask you based on what? That is to tell you that you never had a metric, you never had an indicator to measure that stuff. So when you have KPIs, you also have a compliance system. An example of a compliance system are your staff handbook, your rules, your regulations, your policies. So it's called a staff handbook and policy document. So for example, there's a part of your staff handbook that says under, let's say, sanctions or offenses and penalties, you have something that says that refusal to carry out or follow the SOP, let's say there's a penalty, let's say query or verbal warning, query, suspension, whatever, you have your penalties attached to it. So every time your staff jump their SOPs, the compliance system for it is in your staff handbook. So you can see that every system and source system has to be intertwined for you to have an organized business. Every system, every subsystem, every subsystem, every process, every policy, every procedure, they are all intertwined for the goal of your business or to ensure that you have an organized business. Monitoring, for example. So if you give your manager, let's say your business has a monthly target of 100 million naira, and your manager's target is, let's say, 80 million. That 80 million is also spread down to your sales and marketing team. You can see that how we're spreading that whole thing down. Now, I am the owner of the business. My target for my business is 100 million naira this month, for example. Now, 100 million naira, that is like 25 million naira weekly, right? If we break it down. By the end of the first week, we'll have done only 10 million. Monitoring, I call the manager. What's going on? See our target. You have a target of 80 million divided into 4 weeks. This is what your target is supposed to be. This is what the sales team are supposed to be bringing in, or this is what each branch is supposed to be bringing in. What's going on? The manager sees the manager is aware of the figure. So you can see that we are speaking with facts and figure. So based on the knowledge of those facts and figure, the manager goes into monitoring mode to try to also see what is going on. Why are we having low sales? Is what's happening to our footfall? As our footfall increased, is the sales team struggling with product knowledge? Are they struggling with closing and deals? You can see that so many things are happening here. It's monitoring, there's training, it's assessment going on. Everything is happening inside one function. Why? Because there are clear systems, procedures, policies, everything has been put in place. The understanding is there. The reporting system is there. The communication system is there. The accountability is there. The transparency is there. The accuracy is there. Every time we speak with facts and we speak with figures. Am I making sense? Let me know if I'm making sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or let me see if
You're making sense.
okay, thank you very much. I just want to be sure. So there is a monitoring system going on. Thank you. Now let me in this monitoring, let me also throw in reporting. Now, reporting are also a very crucial KPI. Part of your KPI should be that reporting, and you must state what your staff is supposed to report. So you can say, for example, for the store officer, your report should include, I always like saying should include, in case there is more for you to add to it. Your report should include records of all the items received into the store, records of everything that left, you understand, with proof of who asked or whatever, opening stock, closing stock. List out everything that they should report. Don't assume that your staff should know what they should report. No, your staff has never owned your business. Your staff has never run your business. So don't assume that they should know what to report. So part of your KPI should be the reporting. List down everything that they should report. Now, I also like to include as part of the reporting observation and recommendation. Observation and recommendation. Now, observation allows them to also state what they have observed in your system that can be better. You must give your employees an opportunity to express themselves, because the truth is this: because you are the owner of the business does not mean that you have all the solutions to your business. Sometimes, from experience, I've come to understand that sometimes the strategy or the tactics that will increase your revenue is sitting in the head of your staff. It's in the head of even your lowest employee. So that observation and recommendation allows them to express themselves. It allows them to say the things that they have been observing and then recommend ways that they can make it better. So your KPIs should carry your reporting and what should be in your report. Now, if you have very clear systems and structure, if your KPIs are very clear, when you're coming for your staff meeting, everybody is coming with their facts and figures. This is how we hold people accountable. When we are coming, when you're having either your monthly review meetings or your Monday morning meetings, everybody is coming with their facts and figures. We don't come into a meeting to start arguing. We didn't make sales today. Our sales was poor. Based on what? Who is responsible for what? Let me use production, for example. I don't know if you have production business, but let me use production as an example, because that's why you have a lot of some of these very busy people who are not productive. It's very common in manufacturing or production business. So let's say you have a production system that runs 24 hours, or you have a production system that runs 12 hours in a day. They are always busy. Production people are always busy. Tailors, they are always very busy. They believe that they're the ones who work the most in the organization. Now, how do we verify if they are working very well, or how do we verify if they are productive? Now, for us to produce, let's say, a carton of water, we need, just for example, for us to be able to produce a carton of this in a day, let's say we need a carton of a particular raw material, or let's say a carton of particular raw materials, 2 of another one, and just like that. Now, you pick out your inventory person's reports or your accountant's report, because your accountant's report will carry both items and figures, value, while the inventory person might carry just the item. So you're looking at both the inventory report and the accountant report, and you are seeing that the raw materials that were carried in the last 1 week, you look at the quantity, you look at the value. It doesn't tally with the outputs. Now, all the raw materials that they used for production in the last 1 week was supposed to give you 10,000 units of this. But the output from production is 4,000 units or 8,000 units. You are able to now tell them with facts and figures, yes, you guys were busy, you were not productive, you wasted my raw materials. Who is going to pay for the excesses that you did? But if you do not have a system that keeps tracks of this figure, you will not be able to tell them based on fact that they were busy yet unproductive. So when you sit down in your meetings, you should be looking at the facts and the figures. If we did not perform well, where are the facts? If there was waste in raw materials, where are the facts? If there was no waste, but we cannot give account of it, was it stolen? Where are the trails? Okay, what do we need to look at? CCTV camera, movement register. You now begin to see that you cannot begin to trace where to find out where these things would have happened. But if you do not have a system of accountability, of transparency, and of accuracy, you will know that things have gone wrong, but you will not be able to point out where it happened. You will not be able to have the proof. So at the end of the day, all these things are assessing your business, and then they're also assessing your staff. So when you are preparing your appraisal form, for example, you use your job description with KPIs to prepare your appraisal form. So your appraisal form is carrying both your information that has to do with the KPIs and then character. It's also looking at punctuality. So when the easiest part let me rephrase. When most people do their performance appraisal form, they usually focus on the job descriptions and KPIs. But in your appraisal, you should also be looking at punctuality and attendance and punctuality. So there's a part of your appraisal form that should carry number of absent days, and then usually I like when I'm preparing the appraisal form, there's a part that the employees will fill. There's a part I tell them take it to the accountant to fill, or the HR, whoever is in charge of that particular column, because I want to know how many days were they absent during this appraisal period, how many days were they punctual during this appraisal period. So that should be part of your appraisal form. You are also looking at because part of my KPIs also carry personal development, which has to, so in your job description and KPIs, I will usually include that as a staff, you're expected to read at least one book or learn something that has to do with your job within that appraisal period. So when we come to the appraisal, on the form we carry what book, article, or video did you watch or read during this appraisal period? And you will come with proof, because I'll ask you questions about it. So you can see that every appraisal, every assessment, we are demanding facts and figures. So even if you are going to be the one to fill the form, by the time we are having this discussion, if you do not have proof as a staff, you're also in trouble. Do you understand? So that is how I'll just talk about assessment or performance management, because it's a full topic on its own. More, next slide, please. Okay, so I talked about balance scorecard. Now, you can have a balance scorecard for your business. You can also have a balance scorecard when you want to prepare your staff KPIs. Now, the balance scorecard has 4 components: finance, customers, internal processes, growth, and learning. Now, under finance, now this is the easiest way I teach business owners how to write KPIs. So break down your KPIs or your job description, whether you are using key result areas or whatever: finance, customers, internal processes, growth, and learning. So under finance, you have KPIs like revenue generation, managing operational expenses, net profits. I've already given an example for those. So you can write those KPIs under finance, for example. When it comes to customers, example of KPIs under customers is that we want to increase our footfall by a minimum of 5% every month. Footfalls are the number of people that come into your business, because not everybody who comes into your business will buy, but footfalls are also important. We also want to look at repeat customers. Those KPIs will fall under customers. Customer database. So you want, for example, if it is your manager, operations, or customer service person, part of a KPI could be that messages or bulk SMSs or messages should be sent to your customers for every government recognized public holidays, for every time you have new products, or when you want to conduct sales and things like that. That is part of a KPI under customers. Do you understand? So identify measurable things that you want to see happen for your customers. Put them under your customers. Internal processes. Also think about the measurable things that needs to be done and tracked within your operations. That's your internal process. This one is in-house, the back end. KPIs, performance metrics or indicators that this person is doing their work. So it will vary with the roles. The KPIs for the business, for the accountant, may not carry a lot on customers, depending on your business. For some organizations, there will be KPIs that are tied to customers for the accountants. For some businesses, it will not be there. So do or write your KPIs according to the components of the balance scorecard. Growth and learning, that's where you have personal development that you must demand from your staff. Yes, demand personal development from your staff. Demand that they read books. Demand that they watch YouTube videos. Internal trainings are also part of the KPIs under growth and learning. So for example, if I want to write a KPI under growth and learning for a HR person, I would say that ensure that internal trainings are conducted at least 5 times every month. That is a KPI for a HR person under growth and learning. If I want to break it down to the employees, I could say that ensure that as maybe a departmental head or whatever, you carry out at least 1 internal training a month. So you see how we break this down. So your balance scorecard has 4 components: finance, customers, internal processes, growth, and learning. Ensure that you build every KPI under these things. They must be smart, they must be measurable. I don't need to explain what smart are. Business KPIs, staff KPIs. More, let's go to the next slide. Good. Management and leadership. Remember I said in the beginning that poor management and poor leadership can destroy your systems and your structure. Now, what I've actually come to see most times that happen, communication is always a big problem. I see this happen in almost every organization. Communication is a big problem. Talking is not communication. If I say something and the person does not understand it, communication did not happen, it just stops. The goal is to ensure that the person who you are talking to or who you are speaking with understand exactly what you are saying, how you want it done, in the manner that you want it done. Otherwise, communication has not happened. So become the kind of leader people follow voluntarily, even if you have no title or position. Leadership by influence is my best definition of leadership. Being able to influence people to do what you want them to do without them realizing that they are doing it. In the negative aspect, it looks like manipulation, but bringing it down to the good aspect, it's very, and not only leaders have this trait. If you look into your organization, you will find that maybe there are 1 or 2 persons that once they say something, everybody will just follow. I don't know if you have such employees. Once they say something, everybody will just follow them. They have that power. For some persons, it's inborn, it's inbuilt. For some, it can be developed. Well, every skill can be developed. That's the beautiful thing. So I'm going to talk about training. Your business is the primary beneficiary of trained or untrained team. If you do not train your staff, your business inherits it. If you train your staff, your business inherits it. So trainings are important. Anything that you do not train on, your business will suffer for it. If you train them, your business will also take it. If you say, oh, if I train them, they will leave, train the next set. Make trainings a culture. If you make trainings a culture, it will not bother you if they come and if they go, because come on, people will come and people will go, but your business remains. So make trainings a culture. Onboarding trainings, mindset trainings, skill trainings, technical trainings, hard skill trainings. Keep training over and over and over again. Let me give a typical example of something that I did when I became a manager. Now, when I joined the industry, we were selling electronics. Our sales at the time when I joined was around, this was far back 2010, 2011. So our sales at the time was 15 million naira, 15 million naira a month. That's what we were making. And I remember when I was having a conversation with the owner of the business, I told them that I was going to increase the revenue by at least maybe 5% within a couple of months. He didn't even give me a KPI because he didn't even understand what KPIs was. I understood what KPIs was because where I was coming from, we had KPIs, we had targets, but he didn't understand targets. I did, so I gave myself a target. Now, when I also joined the company, I noticed that my boss is the type of person who was always calling me per second. You know, this kind of employers who every 2 minutes you are calling your manager. Somebody's coming to buy something, the man will call me. They want to market something, the man will call me. He wants to do this, the man was calling me all the time. I noticed this within the first 2-3 days I started working. So I gave myself a target. I said, Ndidi, if you do not do this thing, this man's going to drive you crazy. So I gave myself a goal. I said, Ndidi, within the next 4 months, duplicate yourself in your team. So I told myself, in the next 4 months, I want people to come into the showroom and not be able to tell who the manager is. That was the goal I gave myself as a manager, that when I stand with my team and people come into the showroom, they will not be able to tell who the manager was. What did I do? I started trainings. I started with product knowledge trainings. We were working Mondays to Saturdays. So I was training 6 days a week. I trained 6 days a week for 4 months non-stop as a manager. 6 days a week, 4 months non-stop. What did I train on? Product knowledge, soft skill. So every product I provided, I trained on them. For the aspect that had to do with technicalities, I brought in someone who was technically inclined to train us on compressors, condensers, relays, and all those things. So product knowledge training, soft skill trainings, how to sell, how to market, communication, management, leadership. I even trained on how to dress. You know, salaries were not much. I trained on how to dress. I told them the markets to buy secondhand clothing. I taught my female team how to mix and match clothes. I trained like my life depended on it. Now remember, I was an employee. You are the owner of the business. What's your excuse? I am an employee. I could have been selfish, but like I said, I have the spirit of excellence. So excellence was what was guiding me. All those trainings were not part of my job description. They were not there. So I could have decided not to do them, but I did them because it's the spirit of excellence. And I know that if I want to achieve excellence in my role as a manager, I need my team to be able to achieve it. Because without my team, I can't achieve it. Remember what systems and structure are. So in this place, I position myself like the structure, my team as my systems. For me to be able to achieve results as a manager, I need my team, who are my systems, to help me do that. So what did I do? I invested in my team to help me achieve my goal. So I trained them. Now from the 4th month, that's the 5th month and the 6th month, I now got them to start training. So I can say, Taiwo, today you're training on generators. Ifoma, tomorrow you will train on deep freezers. You, next tomorrow, communication. And I said, dividing the trainings for them. That's why you have an in-house training calendar. So everybody had a day they would train on a particular product. Same thing with soft skills. So today you train on emotional intelligence, you leadership, you communication, you customer service, you how to sell. That's how I spread it. In fact, my goal was to achieve this in 4 months. I started that job in October. If I remember very well, I resumed that job in October. By 4 months, we were hitting 25 million naira in revenue. Now, not only were we hitting 25 million naira in revenue monthly, I increased the profit margin. So when I joined the organization, my boss was doing 15% markup on cost of goods sold. I increased 25%. He was like, Ndidi, how are we going to sell? It's too high. I said, leave it for me. Leave the selling part for me. Leave it. So I increased our markup by 25%, which made our prices very high. But I understood psychology and I understood the perception and I understood the mind of, because before I joined that job, I have done sales, I've done marketing, I've done customer service, and I've done operations. So I have already built the capacity to be able to deliver on this. I have built the capacity before I joined that company to be able to deliver those. So I told the boss, leave the result aspect for me. You just approve the increase in prices. And even though with those increase in prices, our revenue increased to 25 million naira from 15 million. And imagine an extra 10% profit on the initial profit margin. So bringing it down to you as a business owner, what is your excuse not to train? What are your excuses not to have systems? What are your excuses not to have processes, policies within your business? What are your excuses? If an employee can do it, I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. So whether they come or they go, keep training. Because the people leave and the people were, of course, people were resigning and people were coming in, but the trainings continue. So what we're now doing was that after I had done that 6 months non-stop, we're now training at least 3 times a week. 2-3 times a week, it now reduced. So when I bring in a new person, and you see the irony of back then, I trained on the SOPs. So the point that I didn't even need to document a lot of things. The SOPs became a default setting because you will also train on SOPs. So I can ask you, let me know our process of attending to a customer and then till the customer leaves. So you will see the staff run through the process. Okay, when the customer comes in, we have like I had like this staff outbound slip. It was part of my own internal control measures for when customer comes in. So I intertwined every process within the organization, from the sales department to the accounts department to the store when the goods come out. Every system was intertwined, and within these 3 systems, there were 3 forms of documented trails. So I don't even need to be there. You can't steal. You can't steal. You couldn't steal. The only place, when I use the word the only place, the only thing that the account, because it was the accounts person who did something shady that period that got all of us into trouble, was bank reconciliation. Now, bank reconciliation is the responsibility of the accounts person. Now, the control over that accountant was supposed to be the auditor. So I don't do bank reconciliation. So when the person did a bank reconciliation, it was always okay. So the person who was supposed to have noticed that something was going wrong was the auditor. Now, the auditor, I don't know that he assigned the job to maybe his staff, and the staff didn't do a good job. So when the accountant started pilfering funds, they didn't spot it when they were preparing their accounts for us, and the management account. They didn't see it. Now, let me tell you how this person was able to take money. They couldn't take goods. There was no way they could do it. They couldn't take any money. So what the person was doing was that, far back then, we used to use cash. And then when you go to a bank, you fill that triplicate copy of tellers and stuff like that. So when the person, for example, would take 400,000 naira to the bank, 400,000 naira cash to go and pay in the bank, the person will pay, let's say, 300,000 naira. Take 100,000 naira. But the teller that will come back to the office will carry the 400,000 naira. Now, the activity or the tax that would have spotted it will be bank reconciliation and then doing the audits. Now, the bank reconciliation, of course, she will not catch herself. The next person who was supposed to see it was the auditor. For some very weird reasons, the auditor didn't point this out. And this thing went on for a year, 2 years. It was when I came back from maternity leave. Now, when I was on maternity leave, I was still interacting with them. I was still approving purchase, procurement orders and things like that, even though I was on maternity leave. And then I walked into the showroom and something just felt off. Something just felt off. I couldn't place my hand on it. I was looking at all the documents, all the books. I was checking. I was trying to reconcile certain things. The thing was reconciled. And during my maternity leave, our auditor came to the office. He went through the books. He did his own stuff. So I am not an accountant. There's a level of numbers that you will not be able to interpret. So everything looked good on paper. Why was something not feeling right? Why were we owing our mother company? What was going on? I couldn't take it anymore. So I called a friend of mine who had worked with us, not that because at that point I had become a GM. My boss has 4 companies. I was employed into the electronics retail business. So after about 10 months, he made me a GM over his 4 companies. So I was a GM over the electronics retail, a furniture retail and manufacturing, and 2 construction companies. So I was managing 4 organizations. So I called a friend of mine who was an accountant who had worked with one of the sister companies some time back, helped us with tax issues. And I said, guy, please come and help me check. Something is not right. But I don't want you to make an issue out of it. Just help me check the months I went on maternity leave. That I can't point out, but I just know that something is not right. So he helped me do a check, and then he found out that he didn't even use bank statements. He just used tellers and the internal control things, documents that had source documents I had put in place. That was all he used. He didn't even collect bank statements. He just used those documents. And then we found out that 1.5 million naira was missing. We queried the staff, and so that staff was she was like my best staff. So this is where I will also tell you that trust is not a strategy. Comfort is not an assurance for anything. Trust is not a strategy. Comfort is not security. We gave her a query. Long story short, the matter turned around and faced me. I remember then I went to, of course, I got her arrested. I told my boss he wasn't, enthusiastic about the whole thing. So I went to the police station and I got her arrested. And then the whole matter turned around, and then they tagged me, and the person who I called, innocent guy, to help me do the checks. They tagged the both of us as thieves. One of the worst experiences of my life. Tagged the 3 of us. Innocent, in short, his own even pained me the most because he was an innocent person working in another organization. He just helped me check something, catch this, brought out the proof, and then he got mixed up in the whole thing. I remember during my first arrest was in front of my son's school. They waited for me in front of my son's school. I remember I was taken to police headquarters. I spent some days in police headquarters. I was taken to Alagbon. I spent some days in Alagbon before I was billed. Then the second arrest happened last year. Gracious Lord. Whew. Second arrest happened last year because this thing happened in 2015. He came back again because there was nothing. The person who committed the offense confessed to it. She didn't deny it because the proof was there. So I talked about proof. Then this same auditor who was checking the books, that's like our complete external auditor, who was checking the books and he didn't find anything wrong, came back and did audit and said 100 and something million naira was missing. And I asked him, I said, how? You are even using your mouth to say that 120 million. So how come you did not see it as an auditor? So what's the essence of all that I'm saying? Structure is compulsory. Systems are compulsory. Internal control measures are compulsory. Everything that moves around your business has to be accounted for. There must be a trail of movements. How everything moves, there has to be that trail. You must be able to follow it. On Monday, it moved like this. On Tuesday, it moved like this. On Wednesday, you must be able to trace it. Every employment contract must be signed. Every memo that you give your staff must be signed. There must be proof of receipts. Every document has to be. There has to be acknowledgement. There has to be proof of receipt. Otherwise, you have nothing as a business owner. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. Now, they came back again last year. At the parking lot of the mall, a full hires bus of heavily armed men, armed policemen, full hires bus, heavily armed policemen, blazing guns with bulletproof and everything. That's how they just stopped me. At the parking lot. Thank God they allowed me even call my sister because my son was in school that day. And that was how I got to the station again. Lo and behold, that same guy and that same girl. And that was how we went to court. If it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. So now I put the structure in place. Remember, when I joined the company, there was no structure. Now I put the structure in place. I put the systems in place. I ensured that there was document. And when I was doing all these things, nobody ever anticipates that such a thing would happen. So my documented flow, I didn't joke with it. In my very innocent mind then, I just put all these things in place because I learned them from my previous place of work. And the beautiful thing is that structure can be replicated across the board. You can lift the concept of structure and put it in another organization and then tweak it to adjust this particular business. But if you don't understand structure, you will not be able to replicate structure across businesses. But if you understand structure, you can start up a business as a retail business, go into production, lift that same structures pattern, put it in the production, go into real estate, still put structure there because the concept is the same thing. But if you don't understand as a business owner, there's nothing you can. So I understood structure. I put it in place. So When we were going to court, my boss didn't know the extent of the structure that I put in place, but I was heavily armed. I was heavily armed. So when he would say something, when he accused, so there's this transaction we did in China one time that he went, I've never been to China. He went to China, he did some transactions, he came back to Nigeria, he sent the money for the goods that they were going to buy, $35,000 far back then. He sent the money. This man came to court, and then I remember then the emails were intercepted. So 419 people intercepted that money and they diverted that $35,000. He came to court and said that I planned with people in China, and I duped him $35,000. Ah! I say, gracious Lord me. But anyways, he accused me that I connived with them to dupe him. That was why I refused to follow up with the payment. I refused to report it to the police. I refused to do this. Now, when that thing happened, he did a letter to UBA Bank. So I'm supposed to call bank, but he did a letter to his bank notifying them of, because he did the transaction, he did the transfer from his own domiciliary account to China. He did the transfer from his own account. Our company didn't have a domiciliary account, so it was from his own personal account that he did the transfer. So there was a letter that we used in reporting to the bank that if you can help us retrieve the money, those kind of stuff. Then I also wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Police far back then, Delta State, that will see our issue, help us to investigate, yada. So when he came to court, this man was looking at me eyeball to eyeball, and he was lying. What he didn't know that I had copies of those letters. They were with my lawyer. So immediately my lawyer brought out the documents and said, this is the proof that he signed that letter to the bank, telling them that he transferred the money from his domiciliary account and they should please help investigate it. If you see the shock on this man's face, that letter was there. I also have proof of the letter that I wrote that to Commissioner of Police, and the acknowledge, I don't talk with acknowledge copy, because anytime I go to, even if it's bank and I'm having ATM issues and I write to the bank, oh, I'm having ATM issues, I always do a photocopy. As a matter of principle, you, the customer service person, you must sign my photocopy. I don't joke with that thing till tomorrow. I learned a lot. So I had my own copy of acknowledged copy that I wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Police, help to tell us to see the transaction, see what happens, attaching all the proof of payments, the emails, everything. And the Commissioner of Police, their office, stamped it that they received that letter. When I brought out this letter, this man almost passed out in court. What helped me here? Documentation. And I won that case fair and square. I know the irony about it. Coincidentally, the same lawyer was representing the girl who committed the offense, me, myself, and my friend who helped me to do this thing, who helped me to do that check. We had one lawyer, coincidentally. He happens to be one of, if not the best criminal lawyer we have around here. He has never lost a case in 20-something years. He happened to be the lawyer. So somebody recommended the man to my family. Somebody recommended the man to the other people's family. So coincidentally, we don't had the same lawyer. Now imagine what would happen. Of course, the girl walked free. She walked free. Because when you put all of us as thieves, we're supposed to be witnesses against her, but you put all of us together as thieves. Remember, he who alleges must provide proof. So let me come back, because let me round up. I think I've taken too much time. So trainings, why I'm just saying this is so that you can understand as the owner of a business, why it is important for you to understand structure, understand system, understand your operational flow. You can have a fantastic manager who will help you to improve your systems, but please ensure that before they make those improvements, you approve it. Otherwise, they can make improvements to your disadvantage and their advantage. So before any adjustments are made on your processes, your system, ensure it passes through you, you understand it, and you approve it. Nobody should change your policies. Nobody should change your procedures without your approval as the owner of the business. Very, very important. Delegation, you also should know how to delegate. And then as a business owner, when you come to that mature stage, you lead by strategy. So once you have put systems and structure in place, you see how Yanga Beauty, you see how Jennifer is traveling now. She's not bothered, she's relaxed, because she knows that everything that will ensure a smooth flow of the business is already put in place. So she's not where she is right now and thinking and wondering what's going on, who might be doing this, who might be doing that. No, those thoughts are not there, because every system that needs to be put in place is in place. Every internal control measure is in place. Every trail is in place. And then reconciliation is very important. I'm going to say this to you as business owners. I beg you in the name of God, carry out reconciliation every now and then. Please carry out reconciliation. Theft thrives when your staff knows that you don't check. Now, I'm not saying that you should be an internal auditor in your business and begin to sit down monitoring reconciling things. No, but sometimes you can do random reconciliations. Random reconciliations every now and then. So let's say you have so many SKUs and then your stock report comes. You don't need to go and count it. Just pick one or two random. I want to go and count. Let us go and count the perfumes, you know, or let's go and count the doors, the wooden doors, or let's go and count the iron doors today. I want to count the iron doors. So let's say on your record, let's say you sell phones, for example. On your record, your Samsung phones or your Samsung Galaxy phones is showing a stock report of stock balance of 100 pieces. Just wake up that day and say, off your store guy, come. Open the store. I want to count my stock Galaxy phones. Go and count them. Once people know, now remember that these are people. The Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked. Because they are employees does not mean that they're no longer human beings or they're no longer humans. So your employees fall under that scripture that says the heart of man is desperately wicked. They fall under man. So you must be careful. Just go and do it wrong. Once they know that, before I go and take now, maybe this man will now come and let us check. If they're planning to take 20, they will bring it down to 5. You're planning to take 5, they'll bring it down to 2 or 1. Why? Because they don't know the hour of the time when you come and do your checks. Every now and then, be involved in your stock taking. Stop leaving your business to strangers. As far as I'm concerned, your employees are strangers. Yes, excuse me, you guys can have a wonderful friendship flow, whatever, they're strangers. Nobody, they did not invest in your business. You are the blood, sweat, and tears. Don't hand over your business to people. Every now and then, be involved. Every now and then, once in a while, just show up at that branch that you want to participate in the stock taking. Just, you know, I've seen where some employees, some places that sell perfumes or all these handy, small items, the employees will remove the items and put stone inside and box it back. And you won't even know. They put stone, they box it back, they nylon it back, and you won't even know that. So when you are checking your stock, you will just shake it, shaka, and then you will put it down, not knowing that it is stone that is inside that stuff, not the item. So they come up with so many ingenious ways to do things. So you have to be very, very careful. Your employment contract has to be very tight. Your employment contract has to be very tight. Your staff handbook has to be very tight as possible. Now, every time you notice something or, you know, there's a because the employees are always trying to poke holes on your systems. Just update. You are free to update your documents. Once you update them, ensure there's a communication, you know, process to ensure that, oh, we've updated these, blah, 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 you know. Oh my goodness. More, the next slide. I think I'm done. More, the next slide. Okay, so I have a 4 weeks. Okay, so this is a 4 weeks organize your business challenge. So Mo, I think you should send them the slides later so that they can see this. So week 1, I said draft your vision statement and core values, draw your organogram, prepare employment contracts. Week 2, I said draft your JDs, KPIs, documentations, and the rest of them. Week 3, I also said what you should do. Week 4, what you should do. You can spread this across 6 weeks because usually my one-on-one coaching spreads across, I think, 10 to 12 weeks each thereabout. So you can also spread this within 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or 12 weeks, but ensure that you are doing something. I don't know if I'm supposed to market myself on this program, but let me not do that for now until I'm permitted. More, the next slide.
Yes, definitely you are.
Okay, I'm permitted. All right. So I have usually it's a one-on-one program. I have a one-on-one program. That's what I did with Yanga Beauty to help structure her business. And then after some time, when we have put the structure, I think that was in 2021. 2021. And around, I think like after COVID period, after like a year, we also came back together and worked on her internal control processes because I think I still remember Yanga Beauty's goal when we wanted to implement systems and structure in the initial stage. And I see, you see, that is how you know people who have a very strong vision or who know where they are going to. She said that I remember very well, that she wanted to establish a system that can be replicated across the board. Her goal was not necessarily revenue, because when you put systems and structure in place, revenue automatically goes up by default. That's the truth. By default, your revenue goes up. So it was structure that can be replicated across the board. So I believe at that time when we're putting structure in place, she had goals or she had plans to open other branches. And those branches didn't come until like 3 or almost 4 years after. We started learning how to put structure in place. So when she was opening those branches, it was copy and paste. That's the whole essence that can be replicated across the board. So the same structure that we had for Lagos could be lifted and put in Port Harcourt and in Abuja. So, but we came back again for a part 2 of our structure to tighten up the internal control measures, between this, because now we now have a movement within 3 branches, and that was how it worked. So that was a one-on-one coaching program. I have not really done a 4 weeks. I've not really done a group coaching program, because the first time I tried launching a group coaching program, people didn't register. I don't know why. So what I have now is just a one-on-one coaching program. And I don't think I'll be taking more than maximum 3, maybe 2 clients at the end of the year, because I have a physical consulting client and work a big manufacturing company that I have to do the implementation and stuff. So I'm not taking more than 2 or 3 one-on-one coaching. However, if you are interested in the group coaching, or if as much as maybe 10 persons show interest in a group coaching, then I can see how I can work around having a group coaching program. But usually it's a one-on-one coaching program. And then you have to be ready to put in the work, because if you're not ready to put in the work, like Yanga told you, I can be very hard and brutal. My passion is driven by a lot of things. It's driven by success, and it's also driven by pain. And I know the pain that business owners go through when you have a very smart thief as an employee. If you have a smart thief, you're in trouble. And then you must also be, improving yourself as developing yourself as a business owner, which is one thing I also admire Yanga Beauty for. She's always developing herself, because if you're not developing yourself and your staff are developing themselves, you are in trouble. You are in big trouble. If your staff keeps improving, getting smarter and smarter, you are in trouble. I remember the auditor told me then, he said, Ndidi, what an accountant does not want you to see, you will not see it, because you are not an accountant. And that for whatever an accountant is doing, it takes a smarter accountant to catch that accountant. I will never forget the words of that man. It takes a smarter accountant to catch a smaller accountant who is doing something funny. And if you're not an accountant as a business owner, your accountant can be doing something and you will not see it. They will turn the numbers. They can do you, the more you look, the less you see. You have to understand it. Now, your software is not structured. The whole essence of internal control and reconciliation is that what is in your software is what you have physically. Most people keep relying on their software as their account balance. Meanwhile, what is on the software is not present physically. Now, I remember then we're using QuickBooks. But at the time, QuickBooks was not hosted in the cloud. Then you didn't have softwares who were in the cloud as at that time when we were using QuickBooks. Do you know what this person was always doing? She was always crashing our system. Before it gets to the point where we will back up the system, she will crash it. Now, I studied library and information science in school, and I guess by default, we like paper. By default, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I think God already knew what was going to happen from the, you already knew from the beginning, you already knew what was going to happen in the end from the beginning. So I put certain things in place. So even though we had a software, even though we had the digital aspect, everything, I had it in document form. Everything that we had in the software that was digitalized, I had it in paper form. I created something in paper form. I had books as the salespeople are making sales. And I sometimes I can be very lazy. I like very easy way of doing things. So at every point in time, when I walk into the store, I can tell them how much profit we've made. That was how I also structured the way they recorded sales. At every point in time, I can tell how much profit that we have for the day. So when my boss is like, Ndidi, I need 10,000 sales, I said, we don't have money to give you. And another thing I also did when I joined the company, because I saw the way my boss was moving money anyhow. Now, he's a very prudent person. He was not a careless spender. He's a very prudent businessman. But one thing I saw happen, he was always moving money around the company. Remember, we had 4 companies. So you can take money from here, say, oh, send furniture people 5 million naira, send construction, and we want to go and buy cement, send them 3 million naira to buy. The way the money was moving. So at the end of the day, we were always owing the electronics mother company, PZ at the time. So I remember what I did when I noticed this movement, and it hurt me so much because my boss was not a careless person. He doesn't spend money on himself anyhow. So it hurt me that company where I was always owing. So I came up with a system. We opened a new bank. I told him, I said, sir, we're going to open a new bank account with, I think it was Diamond Bank then. I called that cost of goods sold. In another bank, I called it profit. So I told him, I said, every money you see in that Diamond Bank account is not your money. We almost quarreled that day, but he understood and he laughed. I said, you see this money in this diamond bank? It is not your money, it is cost of goods sold. Anyone you see in this account, free to finish it the way you like. That's where you have your children's school fees, that's where you have your personal expenses, that's where you have your PR, that's where you have all your rishi. But you see this one in this bank, it's not your money. So what were we doing? So anytime we wanted to pay the mother company, we always raise draft from that cost of goods account. So you see, business knowledge is very important, very, very important. I understood it. Like I said, I have a spirit of excellence. I do a lot of researches, which a lot of employees don't do these days. So I have the one-on-one coaching. So the one-on-one coaching is ₦1,000,000 for the one-on-one coaching. For the group coaching, I will decide on the rates, but it will not be less than 500,000 to, let's say, 600,000. Then I also have a class for managers, because now this managers class was born out of passion and my own experience. So I have a managers class. It's for managers, supervisors, and any employee that you know has the potential for growth within your organization. Managers, operations managers, HRO, admin, heads of departments, team leads, and employees with good potentials. I have that class. And so it's a 4 weeks group coaching program. The framework was designed from my own experience. So they get to learn business knowledge, people skills, management skills, a lot. In short, it's loaded. It's really, really heavy. So that's a 4 weeks. That's one. That class is starting on the 5th of July. Yeah, 5th of July for employees. Now, in that class, I pour myself because I understand the impact of people in businesses. I understand that if you have good people who know what they are supposed to do, oh my goodness, you will enjoy your business. If you have good people who are really committed and hard work, but they don't know what to do, it can be very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So the managers class is designed to build people, teach them a little bit about structure, teach them about accountability, and how their lack of following structure and following procedures, if they don't do it, how it can affect them. Using myself as a very perfect example. So I almost went to jail, like joke. It was just a thin line. That day, my bail hearing was like 5 p.m. that evening. My boss had orchestrated everything for them to take me to Agbo, remand that evening. But God being faithful and God knowing that I was innocent, that evening I was bailed by 5:30 p.m. and courts would usually not sit by that late. But God did it and it happened. So the one-on-one coaching is 1 million. The group coaching, I will decide, but it's going to be within that, maybe 500 and 600,000. Then I also have the managers class. That is 85,000 naira for a manager. Very, very affordable. It's a 1-month coaching program. So they have, I pre-recorded the lessons to make it easy for them. They have deliverables, very tough deliverables. So the day we are learning how to write JDs and KPIs, because managers also learn how to write JDs and KPIs because I did them as a manager. So they will learn, they will do it, they will submit it, I will vet it, some of them to repeat it. It's very hectic. My manager's coaching is as brutal as my one-on-one coaching program. So they go through that. And then weekly, we have coaching calls, we have case analysis. I use case analysis to try to understand the mindset of the people who are in that class. And a lot of employees, their mindsets are off. If you could see into the heads of some of your employees, you will weep. I kid you not, you will weep. An employee has asked me, Ma, all the things that we are learning, if we now decide to do, what will our boss now be doing? Your staff thinks that a lot of their functions are your functions. A lot of employees believe that what they are supposed to be doing is actually your responsibility because nobody has told them. You know, so those are very important. Then for documentations, I actually have a lot of documentation that I mentioned. I actually have them. Now the link on my bio, I don't know, for some reason has been faulty. I have tried doing everything. Instagram said they're having a glitch or stuff like that. So like all these staff contracts, documentation, staff handbook, I have them samples that you can buy off. Maybe if you want them, you can send me a DM and I will send you the link to be able to get them. So a lot of these documentations, I have them for pick and pay. But in my one-on-one coaching, every single documentation, you have a sample. You have sample of employment contract, KPIs, key performance indicators, SOP, stuff, and you get all of them as part of the package in the one-on-one coaching. Thank you so much. The next slide, Mo. I think that's the end. Okay, so these are just my key takeaways. I'm sure you can read them. I said many business owners, let me read this. Many business owners hear the terms business system and business structure and assume that they mean the same thing. Although they are closely related, they are not the same thing. Understanding the difference is important because confusing the two can lead to gaps in how your business operates. A business can have structure, but still struggle because there are no systems building daily activities. I gave an example with the body and the internal systems. On the other hand, a business can have systems but still feel disorganized if the structure is unclear. To build a stable and scalable business, you need both your structure and your systems working together, including your subsystems and your subsystems. As an SME CEO, it is important to understand how to implement and manage your structure and systems before handing them over. Poor management and leadership can wreck your structure and your system. So in that startup stage, you do everything. And it is allowed when you start up initially to do everything yourself. It's allowed. Now, when you are entering into growth or you know that your business is growing, you need to build people and you need to build systems. And in that mature stage, you lead with strategy and direction. And that's where Jennifer is right now. Thank you very much. And God bless you.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow.
I know I talk so fast, so pardon me. I talk so fast.
No. I think we really, really got it. We really, really got it. Wow. It is a lot. And it is so awesome. It is so awesome. I mean, I've learned a lot in this short time. And I know that, everybody stayed glued and, everybody was just writing and taking notes and wow, thank you so much, Coach Ndidi. It's a pleasure to get to know you. It's a pleasure to have you in this class. I mean, there are some key points that I wrote, and it's so important. Business is not productivity. You can see that a staff is very busy, but that's not the measure if the staff is actually being productive. So which is why you have to document your KPIs, to give them targets of, what they are doing or what they are meant to do, what they are meant to achieve, right? So that they're not just busy. I'm always busy in this company. So what is the proof that, your business actually translates, right? And then, our main key, if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. If it wasn't documented, it was overflows. So meaning documentation is key. It is so important to document the nitty-gritty, and you are being an amazing example, especially with your arrest experience. Wow, that must have been, it's funny now, but then it wasn't funny.
Oh, no, it wasn't. The last one, I stayed 7 days in detention. I stayed 7 days.
Wow.
It wasn't fun, but lessons learned. And that's the lesson I try to teach every business owner. You need to have proof that somebody is your staff. You need to have proof that the person is your staff. I can say that the reason why you pay me every month is because you just like me or something. What's the proof that I'm your staff? It's amazing. If I didn't go to court, I wouldn't have, because while we were going to court for our court hearing before we were finally, discharged and acquitted and everything, I also got to explain to other people's cases, because you sit in court and you see other people's cases before it gets to your turn. So I learned a lot that you must have proof, and you will watch a guilty person walk out free simply because you don't have proof.
Yes, I agree. I mean, when Pigeon started in the beginning, she mentioned that this is why God didn't put everybody on it at the same time. It's so that we can learn from the experiences of others. I mean, if she, didn't have this experience, we wouldn't have known that this could happen. So yeah, we have to protect ourselves. So let's just quickly go straight to questions. Okay. For those that have questions, I think somebody just raised their hand just before I check on that person. And Falashade wrote here, did anybody use the link? I'm not sure if anybody did, but Falashade wrote here, is how can very small businesses put these structures in place when you have very few employees who may not even be well educated?
Okay, I remember saying something in the beginning that's for micro business, and I know that there might be such people on this call. That was why I said that for micro businesses, document everything that they're supposed to be. Just see them as children. Write everything in their JDs. Now, when they are resuming work, this is where onboarding, we see these things are, we call them the technical jargons or whatever. But these are just basic stuff that you should do. So when you have people who are SSC holders, for example, sit them down and explain the job to them. It is documented, yes, but explain it with them. So I have worked in a factory, in a plastic manufacturing company that had about over almost 100 employees at the time. And majority of them were uneducated. But this same system and structure was implemented at their level. So for example, so just get them to understand the job. If you have to speak pidgin English for them to understand, speak pidgin English. Yes, if you are at that level. If you speak Yoruba with them or that, whatever, ensure communication happens for them to understand what they're supposed to do every day. The only thing is that it is more stressful when you have such a culture. You have to keep following up back to back. Oh, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done this? Because of their level of understanding. Give them queries. You see this query thing? When I was managing a factory, a plastic factory, I had a lot of factory workers who couldn't, in short, if you see their handwriting there, they couldn't write. So when I give a query, you now go and meet their colleague who knows how to write to help them write the query. I didn't allow that excuse of them not being able to write to be a reason why I would not implement certain things. Because when they want to be wicked, it has nothing to do with education. When they want to be nasty, it has nothing to do with education. So you can duplicate this, you can implement system, just narrow it down to their level of understanding. The staff handbook for a 30-man company will not be, will be voluminous, quote and unquote. But for a 2-staff company, it will not be as voluminous, but ensure there is a staff handbook. Do you understand? So I have a comprehensive staff handbook. When I want to do for a small business, I'll just tell them, take what is important for you. Like in my staff handbook templates, which you can access, I think it's just about 50 or 55,000 naira for the template. Everybody does not need everything. So I will tell the business owner, take that one that is there, save it. Then from that one that you have bought, extract what now suits your own type of business. But do everything that I have said according to the level of understanding of your staff, because these people are not, they may look like they don't know, but they know. In that plastic manufacturing company where I worked for about 2 years, that was during the COVID period, I think, one of the factory workers set the company on fire and cost that over 1 billion naira in loss. So people are not stupid. People are not stupid. And he was, quote unquote, unskilled, uneducated, but he knew how to light a fire and burn a company down. Thank God CCTV camera caught it. So please, it still has to be documented for proof. Do you understand? Just narrow it down to suit the quality of people that you have, and then train them. Keep training, keep pouring. Because if you don't train, if you don't coach, if you don't mentor your team, your business will suffer for it. So when you have people who are not very intellectual, you will do more. That's the truth. You will do more talking. You will do more of patience. You will do more of explanation. You will do more of building them. As long as they are willing to work and they carry the work on their head, quote and unquote, you will do well with them. My elder sister has been running a catering business for about 25, 26 years. She has workers, the least working person with her has been with her for 4 years. Do you understand? Because there's something she understands about. She doesn't even put most of these things I'm saying into practice, but she understands the psychology of people. And most of her workers are uneducated, but they've been with her. One has been with her for like 12 years. One 10 years, another one 8 years, 4 years, all because she knows how to work with people based on the knowledge that she knows them. And this is where I also say that you can bend the rules, but you cannot break them. As business owners, we have to learn to reflect. And I kid you not. There are instances where you will learn to bend the rules, but not break them. So I'm going to give a typical example. From my survey or experience, married women tend to be more stable in jobs. However, they also come with their own challenges. Especially when they're at childbearing age or when they have young children. Now, the younger ones who are not married, their movement level is higher. But married women tend to be more stable. Now, if you have a married staff who is good at their job and they're committed and they're doing well, what you are definitely going to be hearing things like, immunization, I'm pregnant, my stomach. And I don't know if you will hear things like that. Oh, my baby needs to go to daycare. I want to go and put my baby in daycare. Try to see how you can create an environment that accommodates them. Do you understand? Try to build an environment that accommodates these people. Because if you say, because she's in childbearing age, she cannot work with you. Chase that person who is stable, who is committed, who is hardworking. Because you said because they're always asking for permission because of children, you now go and bring in the one who is unstable. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. So generally, the rules can be bent, but not broken. For example, my sister, for example, even as much as her space was not very big, she allowed them come with their babies. So sometimes they'll be crying, screaming, she'll be juggling them, but the workers are working. They are baking the cake. They are icing the cake. She's delivering to her customers. Because she found out that it is cheaper for them to come, it is better for them to come with their babies and get the job done than for them to be absent because of their babies. So she will personally look for a daycare around her, maybe around the vicinity, support you to even pay their school fees, also that you'll be at work. So the rules can be bent, but not broken. So at every point in time, somehow we should learn to be flexible, except maybe the things that are being taken advantage of. So like I said to the lady, narrow your systems and your structure to suit your type of operations, to suit your type of industry, and to suit the mentality of the people that you have. But the same thing applies all through.
Amazing, amazing. Kolashade, I hope that answers your question. Amazing. Our time is fast spent.
Yeah.
Let's take Rosie's questions. She said that if a family-owned business is run by family members who deliberately avoid putting proper structures and controls in place to prevent accountability, how should that situation be handled?
If you are the one in charge and you can fire your family. As long as they do not want systems and structure to put in place, that business will not do well. Simple and short. It's either we are allowing structure or we're not allowing structure. So I tell people, I said, I'm not against you employing your family member, but if you are going to employ your family member or loved one, ensure they go through the right process. No sentiments. You are family outside work. At work, you are not family. You are colleagues. But if it's a family-owned business and the people are refusing these control measures to be put, it's either if you don't have the capacity to enforce it, then it's going to be what it is. That business is going to suffer. The business will suffer because people are benefiting from the chaos. So to continue to suffer.
Yeah.
But it's something that you can implement and enforce. Maybe you are the head of the family or you're the first son or firstborn. If you can enforce it, then go ahead and enforce it. But if you're not in a position to enforce it, I'm sorry, that business will continue to suffer. People benefit from chaos, trust me. Even with general employees, people benefit from chaos. So usually when we are trying to work with some people to put systems, I'll tell you, get ready for your staff to resign. I've had a business where everybody resigned who wanted to start putting structure in place. They were threatening the owner of the business and they all left. I've had a business where she had to sack everybody, shut down the business for a month. We put things in place, instead of rehiring. So you will see a lot of drama because people benefit from chaos. People benefit from chaos.
I mean, case in point, Nigeria.
Yes, exactly.
Are currently benefiting
from it. If not, it would have changed. So.
Yeah. All right. Uchechi says that favor. Yes, so the recording will be put on our YouTube channel. We'll post it on the community group. But if you're not on the community group, someone from the team will put the community group link on there on this chat so that you can join the group and then you get access to our events basically. So Uchechi says that for a service-based business, my agency has grown beyond its original service offering, and I like to test new services before formally bringing them into the business. However, I struggle with knowing when to build systems around those services because they're still evolving. How do you determine when something has moved from experiment to official offering and is worth systemizing?
Simple English, when it begins to stress you. When it begins to stress you, you need to put systems in place. When it becomes too chaotic, you need to put systems in place. When you are bringing in a human being into that business, you need to start putting the basic systems in place.
Yeah. Okay. Uchechi, I hope that answers your question. All right. I think today she has a heart emoji. XLV group says that, how do you put the structure remotely if no physical location yet?
Same thing. Keep job description. When you have remote workers, job description, deliverables, and timeline are very important. So the KPIs, when it comes to remote businesses, KPIs are very important. Do you understand? You need to define the job and the deliverables. So if, for example, you have let's say like a remote editor, like a video editor or something like that, and ideally, you are employing them for 8 working hours. So it depends on your contract or how they're supposed to deliver. If you are employing them based on hours or you're employing them based on deliverables, you have to be very clear. So if it's based on deliverables, so let's say they should be able to edit maybe 5 videos in a day. Do you understand? Or 10 videos in a day. So tie your KPIs around those deliverables or around timelines. Do you understand? Your staff handbook should be designed. I think I've done the staff handbook for one remote business. The staff handbook should be designed based on how they now work, not in a traditional in-house business. Do you understand? To be very simple, very basic, yes. Culture, everything, rules and regulations, offenses and penalties. You will still give your queries, you will still give your warnings. Employment contracts, very, very important. The type of employees that they are, you must state it there. Their condition of work, you must state it there. Every term and condition attached to that role must be defined. It's the same thing. You are just adjusting it to the remote life. You understand? Your SOPs should still be there, but your SOPs now should have timelines factored into them. Do you understand? Even for traditional businesses, your SOPs should have timelines factored into them. So you just adjust it to suit your business.
All right. XLV, I hope that answers your questions. Same thing, but just tailor it to how the new work structure is. Favor says that, can you explain how people benefit from chaos?
Negligence is one of the benefits of chaos. Waste is one of the benefits of chaos. Theft, one of the benefits of chaos. A lackadaisical attitude to work is one of the benefits of chaos. If you don't have a structure in place and I come late, how do you reprimand me? The only thing you tell me is I will sack you or deduct my money. And I hope we know that by law, you're not supposed to even be deducting your staff salary. So the way we normally tweak such things is that before it gets to the point of deduction, there should be some series of disciplinary measures. So let's say verbal warning, written caution, query, suspension before you now debit. And then if you are going to put that debit, find a way to slot in that clause into the employment contract. Take that clause, and because usually that's where debit happens, this lateness stuff. Take that clause and attach it into their employment contract, that's their employment letters. Fit it into that place. So people benefit. When you do not have systems and structure in place, when there are no control measures, I will tell that I'm busy, but I'm not productive. So I can be busy all day. I'm supposed to have been able to sew 10 gowns or boo-boos, and I made only 2. And when you ask me, I will tell you I'm busy, and I will justify the busyness. But you don't have a system to justify or demand accountability from me. Do you understand? Why should I be working 10 hours and not produce anything? Meanwhile, the machines didn't break down. But I can tell that I was busy. When I now went to collect the fabric and the store person now wasted my time. As I was now coming back, you see all those stories that employees tell, and they will give you reasons why it's like that. So people benefit from chaos. If you don't do stock reconciliation, they will steal from you and you will not know how to prove it. You will know they stole. They will know you know that they stole, but you don't know how to prove it. If you do not have a disciplinary measure in place, your staff will wake up on Monday and tell you, "Ma, I'm sorry, I want to rush to Aba and go and buy something." Or, "I'm sorry, my stomach is paining me." But you see all those, because sickness is the easiest way, they are always absent from work. And then because it is sickness, there is almost nothing you can do. However, if under your policy, under your leave policy, for example, because there are different types of leave. There is annual leave, there is sick leave, there's maybe, I think I have so many types of leave. Now, under your maybe sick leave, you have 10 days in a year. So your policy, your staff handbook will now say that there is a paid sick leave of only 10 days a year. And let's say your annual leave is, let's say, 14 days. That's like 24 days. And then you also have maybe like casual leave of, let's say, maybe 5 days a year. or maybe family, all those type of stuff. Now, if you add all these days together, let's say everything just comes to like 25 days. So your policies to state that every time they exhaust their leave days, they start debiting them for those days. So if your policy has 10 paid sick leave days in a year, by the time they choose to exhaust the 10 days in the first 1 month, every other sick leave of my head fell down, my hand went to the back will be deducted. Do you understand? So when it comes to all those casual leave, maybe you put a 10-day paid casual leave, because employees will lie. My father's mother's sister is getting married. My grandfather's uncle is carrying the kind of funny lies that they tell. When they have exhausted those lies, every other is becomes deductible. So, but if you did not have all these things in place and they come and tell you, my grandfather had stroke, I want to go and give him medicine, to say no become a problem. It's not look as if you are a weapon formed against them. When they call you and tell you, as I was coming to work in the morning, my stomach, now my intestine went to my back, so I cannot come for 3 days. Because you have no policy in place to checkmate all those things, there's nothing you can say. If you have a HMO, you put HMO, you understand, or you can have situation whereby the policy says that maybe you need a doctor's report, or if they are using your HMO, your hospital, it means that they must go to the hospital and the hospital must provide a doctor's report. Do you understand? Or any doctor that they go to, they must. If you don't have these things in place, they will just take advantage of it. It's the way they are wired.
Wow, amazing. I hope that answers your question. I mean, even as you were talking about benefiting from chaos, it's also even tying to my role as a manager in my day job, right? I see how, all these little things can just slip in, and, because there is no structure they have put in place, everybody's saying, oh, I'm not around this week, or yesterday, I have a headache and I'm just recovering from something. There's always just something. And then if there's no structure in place, there's no how you can enforce, okay, because you've taken 2 sick leaves last week, this one will mean that we'll deduct, right? So if there is that, people will sit up. So yeah, I agree. I'll put this in check for my team, my next team meeting. So thank you so much, Coach Ndidi. This has been a very, very insightful session. We learned a lot. So valuable, and God bless you. Bridget, I think we've taken. Okay, let's just take this last question. But after Bridget, no more questions. I mean, we've been here since 8:30, so this is already 3 hours in. So please, questions are closing after Bridget. So Bridget's last question is, I need more hands. As a baker, rather, I need more hands. I also want to protect my signature recipes. How can I do this, please?
Okay, so you have the confidentiality document. Now, for a baker, there's an extent to which you can even hide certain things. So if there's a way you can do something like this. So let's say there is something that you mix into your cakes that gives them a unique taste. Now, if there are certain things that you can pre-mix, like premix it in your house. Let's say premix it in, let's say something that is liquid. Then all they need to do is to take maybe 1 cup full and pour into your cake. So you see this one, this is your secret ingredient. They don't know what you mixed inside here in your house. All they know is that a cup full of this will give a certain taste in your cake. Do you understand? That's one of the ways to also guard your secret. Now, another thing you can also use to guard it is the confidentiality clause. Speak to a lawyer to create something tight for you. Speak to a lawyer to create something tight. But I will always advise, do the first one I said. If you can pre-mix certain things and then give to them, do the first one I said. But that confidentiality, even when they leave, cannot exceed 1 year, because you do not have control over any human being. Like, every human being is a free citizen. So you do not have any control. Pre-mix and then give them, then get them to sign a non-compete confidentiality restraint of trade. Now, and most employees know that we don't like enforcing laws. Typically, the average Nigerian, let me speak for Nigerian, does not like court case or does not like police case, and they are not formed. Do you understand? Because of our legal system. So most times they get away with these things. But when you use 1 or 2 persons to set I don't want to use the word scapegoat, just set the rhythm. Every other person who is coming in will know that this place is like you can't mess up with this business owner. But just get them to ensure that they sign the contract so that peradventure you decide to go legal, you have something to back you up. So I believe we are done.
Yes. Bridget, I hope that was clear, right? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Coach Ndidi. We really appreciate you honoring our invitation. We can't wait to, have more sessions with you. God bless you for being just a beacon of hope for businesses. And, we pray that you continue to grow in your business as well. So that's all we have for Coach Ndidi. Please let's appreciate her. Let's send some love emojis, and like she said, go to her DM. What's your Instagram handle again? You're muted. Coach Ndidi, you're muted.
Okay. Ndidi Azaah is actually my name. NDIDIAZAAH.
Okay. All right. So you can DM her if you have further questions or would like to purchase any of our courses and any
just
of our
send me a DM because the link on my bio, I don't know what's up with Instagram. So just send me a DM. Yeah.
All right, and she will sort you out. Thank you. So usually we would have our next webinar for the month of July, but we will definitely share that in the community. So next webinar will be shared in the community, and also our SEP event, our yearly SEP event in October is coming soon. So we started prepping on our end. Once details start coming, we will share with you all. So thank you so much. If you haven't joined the community, please, the link is in the chat. Please join the community so you can have access to all our goodies and every other thing. So God bless you for being a part of this month's SEP webinar. Yes, the slides will also be shared in the community, and this recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So the channel, it will be updated this week. It won't pass this week, so it will be uploaded on YouTube this week. So you will get all the information you need in our community group. So thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of this webinar. Just before we go, we'd like to have a closing prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you for another amazing SEP webinar session. Thank you for all that we've learned. We pray that we are not hearers only, that we are doers. We learn and we enact, we implement what we have learned in the name of Jesus. It will be easy for us to implement these things in the name of Jesus. Nothing is too hard for us to do. Nothing is too difficult for us to do because we are image bearers, so we are able to implement excellently in the name of Jesus. Thank you for the spirit of excellence. Thank you for a teachable spirit that is able to absorb all that we have learned. And there'll be testimonies that come out from these sessions in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
So thank you, Father. For in Jesus' mighty name, we are prayed.
Amen. Thank you,
So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this month's webinar. God bless you. See you in the next webinar. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.
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 Bye, Mo.
Bye.